Right.
But to be good this.
Right. Hello everybody, this is Richie. I've got Howard from Partalon Magnapina. How are you, man?
How are we doing?
And our guest tonight is Johan from Terzij de Horde.
Good.
Not bad. I've been practicing.
Terzij de Horde.
Now,
better than Howard ever did.
Now, first of all, let's give a major round of applause for Johan's choice of merch that he's wearing tonight. Legend. Brilliant.
We played with him in Galway, and Howard had been plugging them for years now. Of like these guys are 14, 15 years old, and what hit you? And we didn't, like, literally we didn't. We played the very first show where they were all legally allowed to drink, and so they did. No, but we were supposed to be on tour with them a couple of weeks from now. That's I think.
Oh, really?
Where we started planning a tour through Europe with them, which got cancelled logically, I would argue. But all of us were really not just impressed with the music and the show, but also we fed off each other. Like they throw themselves at it, like, and we're like, this is what we did. Oh, fuck. Oh. But yeah.
So I remember the first time seeing those guys, and there was a group of us who would be from the older school at the side of things, and 5 of us together at the back of the room after the show, just looking at each other, going like, "Yeah, I fucking quit. fuck this." There's no way you can keep up with this, like.
No, but that's it. Like I've been playing bass for I'd say 25, almost 30 years now, and you see them and like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. You know, I'll strum a bit. Yeah.
So,
sick.
Get this, Johan, right? So I'm doing a bit of research on you, okay? And I'm on YouTube and I'm watching Black Metal and Brews with Ben.
Oh, yeah.
So Ben is a good friend. Yeah, it's fucking really, really cool, actually. So shout out to Ben if he's... I mean, he might
definitely
get this some stage anyway. But Ben asked Yella about what brings you together as a band beyond kind of playing instruments. And next minute Yellow's going, well, you know, we could have flown to this gig. And I'm just like, Ben and the Black Metal Brews is an American podcast, just in case people didn't know. So I'm just watching it, kind of going,
yeah, worth checking out.
Yeah, I wonder where this is going. So Yellow's kind of going, yeah, and we went to Cork, and I'm like, did he fucking say Cork? And he goes, yeah, so we got in a van and we drove across 2 seas. I'm not sure about the 2 seas, but anyway. So we land in Cork and we get through it the whole lot. And then you're going, oh, and this band, God Alone. And Ben is called God Alone, what a band. And I'm going, what? This is an American fucking podcast and you're on about God Alone from Cork?
Yeah. Because they fucking deserve it.
Man, that was so cool. That was so cool.
One of the most exciting things to happen around these parts in so long. It really is. It's just
like Howard, as I said, I'm watching it.
Adrenaline, you know?
I'm watching it in work, and it's an American podcast, and the two boys, Ben and Johan, are going nuts over God Alone from Cork. I'm going, so that was so cool, man.
I must tell them, actually. I'm not sure they've seen that podcast. I must send it to them.
Oh,
yeah.
No,
Jesus
it
Christ.
was really... Because we were lucky that the very first tour we did, like the proper first tour, was Ireland as well. Because that was when we played with... Okay, so we're allowed mispronunciations of each other's names, but... No, but Decky of...
Sirigira.
Yeah, close enough. No, yeah, but he did these... he booked these... he helped book this tour with us, for us, I should say, and we played with him. And it was like from the get-go, we'd never been there before. We knew hardly anyone there. From second number one, it was just like, we want to live here forever. Not just because of the surroundings, the land itself is gorgeous, and the people are amazing. But there are so many good bands, and no one knows about them.
Yeah.
That was really frustrating at times as well. That you went, on pain of death. God, man. Then, like, all of the doomsters in the Netherlands would go, no clue, no. Do you know my bride? Fuck off.
Yeah.
Nothing against my dying bride per se, but like, but somehow there was the 2 seas that needed to be crossed seemed to be difficult the one way around, whilst going to Ireland and asking a couple of people, hey, can you put us up for a show? Done.
Yeah. Bang.
Yeah.
Great community. How did you two meet?
I first met Johan on that tour, actually. You were pulled up outside the quad. The quad, you remember the quad, Richie?
Jesus Christ, yeah.
It's that long ago. And I remember we were walking up towards, myself and Alan were walking towards the the pub. And we were just watching these lads unfurl out of a van. Just for context, I don't think there's a man under 6'2" in the band, you know.
No.
It was just such an alien thing to come across, and then to realise it was.
They'd be a great junior A football team, Howard.
Full forward, full back.
It was pre like dad bod and pre Corona bellies, so it's like
this is like 2008 or something.
Lanky bastards everywhere.
We just started chatting before the show, and the show was amazing. It was a fantastic gig. And we just chatted about a few things afterwards and went our separate ways. Who was on the bill, Howard?
Yourselves?
It was Siri. No, we weren't on the bill at all. We were just along for the show.
Right.
And it was 3 bands, I think. Siri, Gira,
Council of Tennis?
Council of Tennis, yes. Yeah. Yes, a doom band, yeah. It was a pretty decent gig. There was a good crowd with it. But it was only afterwards, I suppose, I retouched bass with Johan a couple of times. And the second tour you guys came on, I mean, I think that's where we kind of fell on even playing fields kind of thing. It was fantastic.
The tour you did, was that not prior to us touring for a second time?
When we came over to... Yes, we stayed in an apartment,
see, I knew it, because I was talking to Lydia about this as well, like, how long have I known Howard?
It was like 14 people stayed that night, I think. It was just,
But you all did the dishes, so fine.
We all did the dishes, yeah.
They're all boys.
Fantastic. It was brilliant. That was such a crazy tour. And the night before we went to Utrecht, which was an 8-hour drive from where we were, it was down on the
was this now with Five Will Die, yeah?
It was with Five Will Die, yeah. We were touring with Wizard's Beard from Leeds. Right. And we were doing a few shows. And one of the shows was in Akku ACU in Utrecht, where Johan is from. Yep. Johan had hooked us up with the show. Right. And after the previous gig down in Germany, there was I guess he was homeless. He was just a guy on the street. And we met him after the show and invited him back to the van for a drinking party, you know.
That sound is every single Five Will Die story.
It's just the way it goes, like. But anyway, long story short, I think he slipped us a Mickey because I woke up in Utrecht. I was telling Andy to turn off the light, and he was like, "That's not the light, Howard. That's the sun. It's daytime, like, you know." I went to play the show and started to kind of come around again. And Johan was like, "Where are you guys staying?" And we were like, "Fuck knows." Yeah. And he was like, "How many of you are there?" And we were like, "Well, there's 14 of us all together." Because we had 2 bands and a couple of lads in tow. And he was like, "Yeah, plenty of space. Okay. You're grand. You're grand. You're Irish. You guys are English. Yeah, come on, it's fine."
Fuck.
We all piled in on top of Lydia.
I think we were living together then for 3 months or so. And
you were only recently there.
So these are my friends. This is lanky guy. This is redhead. This is
Barry.
It was so good. I mean, the thing was really the morning after when everyone was awake and kind of okay-ish, where people were doing the dishes, people were bonding over our cat and stuff like that. But they are really decent lads, actually. Like, they're excellent.
Jesus
it was one of the nicest tours I've ever been on in terms of the personnel we were with and so on. We had such good fun. Like, it was
that wasn't the tour that you ended up in Poland as well. Was that the same tour?
No, that was a previous one. It was further back. That was about 2008. This was far less stressful, Richie. there was no fucking green room incident with the neo-Nazis at this one. It was actually the complete opposite.
Barry was visible almost 90% of the time. No worries.
Oh, fucking hell, lads.
But yeah, it was great times. But following that, you guys came over for a few shows here. Yeah, I remember you stayed at my place here in Passage. Yeah. And we had a couple of late nights. It was fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
And then was the last time you were over then was for Monolith then, Johan, correct?
Yeah, that was the last time. Yeah.
How'd you find
We
that?
played a show in Dublin.
Yeah. So yeah, we played a show. We played a show in Dublin as well. But the thing is, because I was seriously considering, like, how am I going to take, if someone asks, what am I going to say? it's and that's what I would argue with any like major city, any capital city. Good people, but always a couple of good people. But the thing is that with this show themselves, the guys helping us out, everyone was gorgeous. It was amazing. But the show itself was shit. As in, not a lot of people there. And they pulled out the plug halfway through our second song.
What?
It's a feature, Richie. It's a real problem. I mean, it's not uncommon to be in Dublin playing a gig, and what was supposed to happen doesn't happen. It's a real shame, and a lot of good people have tried to do a lot of good things up there, and it's just ridiculous. It really is. It's really hard to get past a lot of stuff up there.
But that was it. And
it's unfortunate, because what ends up happening with myself is when bands do come to want to play in Ireland and do a few gigs and are asking who to get in touch with, every time I say, look, if I was you, I'd leave Dublin out of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
the very first show we played was in Dublin, because that during that first tour, and we played in also something like the Quayside or something like that in Dublin. It was first floor in a pub, and
I think it was the Pint.
The Pint, that was it. The Pint. Yeah, and there was a guy that came up to us. It's like, sorry, but Steve, who was booking the show, isn't here because bands, I lost the name, are playing their farewell show in a squatted villa somewhere down the line. So everyone's there. So there will be no one here, and I don't know where you. But hi, guys. You know. You know. And the show itself was amazing. We played with amazing bands, great people there. And in the end, Steve, that was for me still the best thing. Steve was like, "Hey, so," because he popped up slightly later on, like, "Okay, I can take you to that party now if you'd like." And it was, I think, 2:00 at night, and we're like, "Fuck yeah, tour life!" And it was amazing, and everyone was drunk, and there was a bathtub full of beer and naked crusts in the swimming pool, as you want. And then at 4:00ish, because we were like, "Oh yeah, tomorrow we're playing in Cork, right? Yeah, damn, yeah." So we should go home, and he dropped us off at home, and then walked back to the party. Apparently, gave us the good luck, guys. And we were just sitting there going, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." And that happened like 3 times during that tour. That someone would say, "Oh, okay, you can stay over here. Here's the key. Okay, how are you going to get in?" "Oh, I'll not. When I'll be back. You just." No, but that was magical.
Figure it out.
Whoa, dude. Okay, excellent. It happened in Cork.
Rock and roll, baby.
That's it. Like the first time I could go over with Lydia was we spent, pardon me, a couple of days in Cork, because I was like, you need to see the city, you need to meet the people. Full stop. That's it. Like this is amazing. And she fell in love as well, logically.
Yeah.
No, but that's it, really. Yeah. No, and we've seen each other at a couple of Roadburns as well, of course. But
a couple of Roadburns, and
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, but it was really the first click was a good one, and then it only got better afterwards. Yeah.
Do you think the Dublin scene is a case of too many cooks?
I don't think so, Richie. I mean, like I said, there's so many good people up there trying to do good things, and there's others who are doing it so long they just know how to deal with it all. But what generally seems to happen, is particularly with this type of music, with the likes of Partalone, Terzij de Horde, anything of that ilk, what tends to kind of happen is the venue doesn't want you there, the staff don't want to deal with you or the people that come to see you, and the promoters running around trying to put out fires everywhere. You know, it comes down to simple things like getting your gear out. You know, the amount of times I've been told, "No, you can't get your gear out, it's too late," and it's 11 o'clock, you know. It's really frustrating.
Where can I park my car?
Where can I park nowhere?
Now, to be fair, Cork suffers from that as well.
On the flip side, with Dublin, with the Magna Pina, it's the complete opposite. It's just the weirdest fucking thing. So to me, it really does seem to be down to the type of music that is happening, I guess. Yeah. Because it's been completely the opposite experience with Magna Pina, and it's sad because it doesn't need to be, you know?
But I would argue what you said just now, that it's also down to the venues that I think is lucky that over the years, though, there have been venues there that have been supporting of this scene, of our scenes.
Yeah.
Dublin, I would, as I said, I would argue the same happens in Amsterdam. You've got loads of tiny venues for tiny scenes, and it's difficult to find the one that has the correct click. And so you take what you can. Oftentimes it is a band drop in and say, okay, we need a show who within the next couple of weeks can arrange something, because that happened for us as well, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it happens, and it's again no hard feelings at all against the people organizing there, because they did the best they could.
Exactly, and that's what's so frustrating about it, isn't it?
Yeah. That's how it goes.
So
good night, anyways.
That's the dig into Dublin anyway. Happy days. We move on. How did you start? Yeah. How did you start, Johan? How did Terzij de Horde start?
Good. Well, it was a long, cold winter. But, the very, very start of the band, it was almost 15 years ago, give or take, because we'd been hanging around in the Utrecht Underground for a while. And Joost, our singer, he was in a bit of a tough guy metalcore band, even though he won't say it is what it is. I was
I would love to see that.
Oh man, it was horrible. In the best way possible, but horrible. No, that was in a like Amon Ra styled post-hardcore metalcore band. And then suddenly he had on one of the message boards. Then he had a post saying, "Okay, we want to play very heavy, short songs which are fast and horrible. Who can join us?" I was like, I think I need this. So that's how we started off, literally as a band covering Negative Approach and Extreme Noise Terror.
Okay, Extreme Noise Terror, cool.
Yeah, that was amazing. And we were called Liar, Liar, Cross on Fire.
Cross on Fire.
Which was very subtle. Yeah, no, but the thing is that at that time it was good, but then we switched drummers, and then we got a new guitar player, and then suddenly, because that was Stefan, who you also remember, of course.
Yeah. And I'm still in touch with today, yeah.
Yeah, and he's still a very good friend, but he was more of a noise rock kind of guy, so he brought waves of sound rather than riffs. So I could do riffs with my bass whilst he was doing all the groundwork.
And what was the scene like then, Johan? Was there a lot of English bands coming through, or had you American bands, or was it just, did you have to travel to see these bands coming through?
It was, I mean, we know as old people, like it used to be amazing. No, we had, the thing was back then we had amazing scenes, but I have to admit that when we first got started, like 2005, 6-ish, it kind of deteriorating for numbers of reasons. One of them was that in the Netherlands, more and more venues were getting closed down by local authority.
Oh, okay.
So squats were closing down and stuff like that, so that doesn't help, especially not for the weirder kinds of music. And that had a long-lasting effect. So what you had was a couple of really good venues that booked bigger bands, and then you had to hope as a local band to get in. Mm-hmm. And then we were lucky because I think that we changed name. I think that really when we started to record the first EP, they were
Rage of Rapture.
Yeah, Rage of Rapture, which was really that. It was a shift of sound. The first demo as Lie Lie Cross on Fire was all over the place, which I love. But then it started to solidify, so we needed something else. So it became Terzij de Horde. Again, willingly picking that name because it expressed really what we were down with and what we were doing. But I think we were busy for a year or so and trying to get shows. It was kind of difficult, as in you can ask your friends, but if you already ask those friends a year back with your other bands, then it becomes a bit of a. And it was really that we were hardcore kids playing black metal. At least that's how we were doing back then. So the hardcore kids, we were to metal. The metal kids, we were to hardcore. And so we were like, okay, fuck it, we'll book shows ourselves then. And we were really lucky with DB's or DB's, which is a venue in Utrecht, with an amazing guy doing most of the booking, Jeroen, who said, hey, if you want to book shows here, you can. And so we started booking shows then. So we had like Celeste and Eagle Twin, Swati Dodi, as in everyone we wanted to book, we just sent them a mail saying, hey, you know, you can stay at my place because 14 guys, no worries. No, but that's it. So you can stay at my place. We'll cook you dinner and we'll get you breakfast. So, you know, and see what happens afterward.
Brilliant.
And the venue was like, okay, we'll pay all the bands all the time. Even if you only have like 20 paying visitors because the music is too weird, we'll give you money anyways because I think we can do this. So for a couple of years that was amazing, and I think for the last 5 years, perhaps last 5-6 years, things have really picked up for metal in the Netherlands, anyways.
Yeah, seems very like the Cork scene back in that time, back in 2010 as well. Like, because there's always one focal point, which was probably the Cruiskeen Lawn Horde.
At the time, yeah, it would have been. At the time, that was where everything happened, really. But I think there's a lot of similarities in many ways between all the scenes that I know well. Leeds would be a scene I know well. Utrecht, through Johan, would know pretty well. And it does seem to be that common denominator of different periods of time where things were kind of the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And even though we're off on our own little island over here, it's remarkable how similar,
isn't it? Yeah,
experiences are. It's mad. It really is.
It was for us was really that we were starting off with our type of music, and then we discovered Death Heaven, so we started mailing with them. And then we discovered Altar of Plagues, and we mailed them.
Oh yeah.
We kind of look back on that as well, going, did we copy off each other? But it was somehow, somewhere throughout the entire world, everyone was throwing in screamo riffs and hardcore breakdowns in black metal riffs, going, this sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So we were lucky to be, I mean, again, old people, but lucky to be around back then as well. And I do think that I mean, we've been surpassed by those bands, no worries whatsoever, because they did have amazing careers. I'm still proud of being around back then and going, seeing that happen. Like,
yes,
yeah, being part of it,
being part of it.
Seriously, yeah, and just going. MySpace, you know, I think that our first MySpace as well, Howard.
Yeah, I think it was.
You send a message to Altar of Plagues. I just heard a fairly crappy rendition via the MySpace player and go, that's amazing.
Different times.
Want to trade demos? Yeah, sure.
So your
that was what you did.
Your debut EP then, Johan, or album, I should say. Was it through Burning World Records you released on the LP side?
The full length was Burning World. Yeah. And how did you meet up with them? Were they localized again? Well, they're in Nijmegen.
Okay.
That was really because we are slow, like fucking slow when writing. But that's really because everyone has their say and everyone has opinions. But for this, it was a process of, I'd argue, 3-4 years before we finished the record. And then it was like, okay, we are only going to write to a couple of labels and to make sure that they do what or they represent what we want to do with the band. And with Burning World back then, they had Angelic Process and they had Neurosis and they like bands that went beyond an easy description. And I have to admit as well, they had worldwide distribution. So we're like, okay, let's write to them and see what happens. And for us, consoling, it was the same, as in we wrote to them knowing they had good distribution, but also they went all out for their bands. And they've had amazing releases from the Belgian scene, from the Antwerp scene, the Ghent scene specifically. And Tartarus, the tape label, Richard is an old friend, and he's released so many amazing bands as well. So it's really sending mails to a couple of, I think we sent mails to 5 labels at that time going, okay, this is what it should be. And save 2 of them. Well, our first 3 choices literally said yes. And then we got one reply as well who said, probably next year. So it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, we love you guys and we'll keep you in the loop for what happens after this, which was not a lot, to be completely fair. It's coming now, but the other label said, well, it's too busy. I've got too many things going on right now. But that being said, the first 3 choices, as I said, they were there. and we were surprised essentially because it's like, yes, oh wait, oh okay. Do you want us to explain what the record is about? No, just send the rest of the files. Yeah, fine.
Wow, it's great, man. So, kind of from your own personal side of things, then finished your studies, and where were you at that stage yourself?
I was an old man. I keep on saying that. No, but the thing is that I've been a teacher for the past 15 years now.
Okay.
So I was a working man with a back then a pregnant wife and a recently acquired apartment. No, we've been talking about that as well, because when we started, we were all 20-somethings, life
full of ambition.
Yeah, but that's
they
we can go anywhere. We can do what we want to do, and suddenly it's like, yeah.
The occupations these guys fill in terms of their personal lives is just insane.
It is, yeah. And
we do too many things.
It's extremely impressive.
It is.
No, but that's it. Like we want to do things, and that's what we do. It's like, but it became. Really around about self, we realized perhaps not to say we're too late, but if we would have done this like 5-6 years ago, who knows what could have happened. But on the other hand, our lives are amazing. The music we do, we still think is amazing. So yeah, so be it. But it was more of what I realized really then was we were touring, and then we got an offer saying, okay, now come to the Yes for a couple of weeks, and every one of us was like, yes, but, and then you job this job but if I then, and perhaps I can so we now decided, because we've just joined a new booking agency, and I'm really happy about that as well, and he's going to try to make sure that we can do tours that are manageable for people with at least 3 jobs each.
So the reason why I'm asking is because which one of you is in Oxford? Is one of you teaching in Oxford?
Yes. He retired. Oh, that's right. He stopped there 2 years ago to become a professor in Utrecht and Wageningen.
Oh, cool. So he's back.
Yeah, no, and he's still. I mean, as far as I know, he's still attached to a couple of university departments there. So he teaches there every now and then, and he does some PhDing. But he, it was really. We were talking about that as well. That right about the time that Self was released, that he was like, okay, perhaps I should try to find an academic job in the neighborhood so that I can be around more. Because back then it was really going, okay, so for the next 4 months, I'm in Oxford, but I'll be able to practice then and then, so.
Yeah.
And we made it work because everyone had weird ass jobs and things going on all over the place. But no, but he was literally being flown in by the Prime Minister of Laos or Vietnam to discuss the local budgets for crops and stuff like that, and agriculture. That's the word I was looking. Sorry, agricultural budgets and stuff like that. And then the day after would be back in the Netherlands, so he could rehearse with us.
Be called into Ireland for the old milk quotas.
No, seriously, one of my favorite memories is that we played a show with Dragged into Sunlight in Haarlem, and it was an amazing show. But he had to catch a flight again, I think to Oxford. He literally had his wheelie suitcase next to the stage. So he was screaming, but he had a cab saying, "You wait outside for approximately 45 minutes, and I'll storm out." And literally, we were just feedbacking, and I turned around, and you see in the back of the venue, you see someone through the crowd with the suitcase. Like, fuck. But yeah, that's what we did. It's what we do, I think.
Yeah.
And as a band, you will be forever related to the whole side of the Hendrik Marsman book that you brought out as well.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you've moved on from them, but I mean, it certainly, would you agree, got a lot of people's attention when you came out with something unique, first of all, and then we're able to back it up by producing this beautiful book of poetry, and going to probably extreme care to make sure it's translated as well.
Oh God, yes.
In English.
It was really, when we were talking about that, the first question people asked was always, how do you pronounce the name? But the second one, what does it mean? And so we'd always be, describing it. And then I think it was seriously during the time of recording the record that we were like, preparing for recording that, we were like, dudes, what we can do now, because it was the 75th anniversary of his death that year. And we're like, what we could do now is probably like we pick our favorite poems, translate them, so everyone will be able to see and read where we come from. Plus, if we then record a song with them or do something with them, it's a good little bridge, so we can release that around about the June when his anniversary was. And then the record will come out half a year later or so, but then we have something, And so we started to translate that, and then we got into contact with a Dutch literary scientist whose life's work was translating and interpreting Marsman, and we ended up drinking beers with him, discussing everything, and so we started to play like literary festivals,
that's incredible.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. So, and it did. I mean, you're right there that it got us noticed by the bigger newspapers. Like, as in, this is not just a couple of morons screaming about Satan. They've got something else to give as well. Which, I mean, it's a fairly stupid way of approaching it. But on the other hand, I can see how a journalist for a big big national newspaper. If you'd say, so black metal, most of them wouldn't go, oh yeah, well, it all died down after Bathory and stuff like that.
An hour-long debate about a riff,
So book,
Dark Throne, pre or no.
So the book, in case people don't know, it's a crooked flower in Cosmos. Flailing Mouth, yes.
Flaming.
And it's a collection of 14 poems. Were you aware then of the guy that influenced Marsman, Johan, which was George Tracky, the German poet?
Are we leaning into the world of fascism now, perhaps?
How much down did you go in relation to the research? Because I mean, ultimately, you will be getting questions on it. No more than
we have received some questions on it, and rightfully
like
so.
Me saying it to you anyway, but
No, we at that point, Tracky we had no idea of, as in literally none. However, we did know that, as for instance, in Ezra Pound, Marsman was drawn to the fascism as Mussolini was constructing it, which was no, I'm not going to defend Mussolini, of course. The idea was, though, back then we had discussions on that as well, because the entire idea of fascism then was to take back money and give it to the people, and silly things which are attached and horrible things which are attached. And I can see how an 18, 19-year-old can be drawn to that. I mean, he was a young guy in essence, and even though you wouldn't want to be associated with that, it is something that happens. And I would argue specifically in black metal, one of the most difficult things is to keep on developing in that sense. I have loads of friends who are now in non-political bands or in left-wing bands who, when they were 16, 17, had their bosom long sleeve. It's for me, that's a similar approach, as in you're looking for something that gives meaning to your life, and the bold, strong statements are easier to accept then.
Yes, very true. Then
so that doesn't mean that I say good.
Yeah.
But it's. Yeah. But that was really what drew us towards Marsman then, and still does, is that anger, is that lust, that willing for life, that darkness, that knowledge on the approach of death, whilst you need to drag life from the mud and get everything from it that there is. And that shaped us as a man anyways. It's later on, as we indeed learn more and more, there's a bit of a oh no. But it's the same. We had for Self, we have one song Garyon, which is essentially it's a 9.5 minutes, pretty much the same riff, and that's really because we want to make it horrible and dragging, and that's because it's about the self-aggrandizing self, or the the self-ignoring self, in the sense of you have and I lost his name. That's a good sign, I hope, at least. The main person responsible for Auschwitz, who wrote a diary and then said, well, if I wouldn't have done it, someone else would have come along and he would have been far worse.
Yes.
That kind of thinking. But we always have a list of books that we used in the with the record. So we had that as well, his diaries. And so we had a fair amount of people asking us why, and good discussions as well. Pretty much the same as, I would argue, the same as this, that someone would say, but you're still telling people to read it. And then we would say, well, what we're doing is read the lyrics so you can see how we used his words against him.
But you could also argue as well that you're converting those ideas to a live audience, and you're giving them back passion and energy and feeding off the crowd through the songwriting structure of it and the music side of things. So that, sometimes it just gets lost because you're able to deliver that raw energy. So
it's with Mushman, you have that, which is I would argue the conclusion of the song. I acknowledge but one law, to live. Een met leven. And every time we play that, it hurts, or it fires us up. And last Roadburn we played, the day before, a good friend of ours died, and we decided to play that song still. And I still remember just not being able to see what I was doing, crying, and turning around to our drummer, who was also crying and just flailing about a bit. And for me, that is, in the end, that is what I want to take from this particular writer, perhaps even, or this particular concept, that you celebrate life. You grab life by the fucking throat and make sure that no one stops you in achieving what you want to achieve in life. And that I can see how that can be seen as a negative thing as well. But what I hope is, especially by people talking to us or people seeing us, that they know, they're not that edgy. We've got our hoodies on and we don't move kind of bad. No, I think
it's a symptom of an extreme music scene as well. I mean, it's the type of music that's been played is so extreme that you don't half-ass into these things. You're going to be dealing with extreme emotions one way or the other, and extreme reactions and extreme passion and extreme exuberance and everything that comes with it. Black metal is just so over theatrical in that sense, anyway. But it's interesting to see, because when I first heard Terzij de Horde, the first thing that struck me was this is a second wave black metal band. This is just my reference point for listening to it. And but it had banjo in it. And it's just that little fact that just kind of stays with you, is like, fuck, a banjo in a second wave black metal song. I gotta fucking hear this again. But just watching just getting used to the philosophies involved, because I've talked to you guys so much about these things myself, and it's always interesting to have a discussion with these guys about these things, because it's important, and it's important to be clear about things, and it's important to know that these things are open to interpretation to a certain level. But once you're comfortable with yourself and what you're doing, you can stand by it and speak up for it. You're in a good place,
But that's it. Like we will always be open to discussion. We will always acknowledge this as well, rather than shy away from it or post a caps lock ridden, Facebook stats update.
Yeah.
But no, please talk to us. Come to us after a show and discuss this. I remember playing in Leipzig with my emo band, and we were told, like, do not mention Palestina. Do not mention them, because. And it was a punk show with punk. So I was like, okay, the punk thing is, for me at least, you talk about things. So I when it's Israel versus Palestine, I go for the Palestinians, but please talk to me to tell me why I should perhaps be more open to the Israeli side, because I do not know. I need to learn, perhaps. And half of the venue walked away. Like, no, but seriously, talk to me, tell me these fucking things, because I don't think they will convince me per se. But however, the more I learn or the more I hear or read, the more I will develop myself and be able to develop myself. And that's something I would argue this entire band has, that we are, as I said before, we are opinionated. We have our opinions, but we tend to base them on factual evidence.
Like on Self, was that kind of more about like kind of breaking free of existing structures?
Yeah.
And as a teacher then, with students, right? You want to teach your students to kind of to be free thinking and not conform. How difficult is it to be in between that as a first of all as a person and then as you as a musician? Have you been questioned on it?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
And luckily so. No, that I'm lucky because Howard and I talked about this as well. The amount of freedom I have in the Dutch educational system is very...
It's to be applauded.
That's what I want to hear. I've never made a secret of who I am, what I think, and what I do. What I try to do, and that's also something that I say to the classes that I teach. I tend to teach like 15 to 19-year-olds, so that makes it a different kind of approach, I think, as well. Saying, okay, I have some I have some morals I hold high. I have a political opinion that I hold dear. However, that doesn't mean that you need to follow me. Not at all. What I want you to do is be able to follow something for which you can say, but this I will defend with my fucking life. And so we may disagree on certain subjects or certain items, but, be able to defend them. And I think that's all over the world right nowadays, that you have this rise in extreme right-wing parties. And one of them in the Netherlands is called the Forum for Democracy. So you know where they stand.
That's the silver-haired gentleman.
Their leader, who is blemish-free, of course, he once said that the all of the teachers in the Netherlands are part of a cultural Marxist system who are trying to indoctrinate all the kids and stuff like that. And I was and he then said, okay, well, I want all of the students in the Netherlands to call in these teachers to notify us that these teachers are there and give us their names and addresses. And so I told one of my classes, like, okay, one thing though, I need to mention this now. Has anyone ever felt they couldn't say what they wanted to say because of my personality or my personal leanings? And one student raised his hand and said, I tend not to agree with you, but what you taught me is that I need to have a good reason for not agreeing with you. And I was like, this is what I do. This is fine. We can still disagree, but if you can say, well, because of reason X, Y, Z, I still think this, then we can agree to disagree and move on. But I mean, my boss is hopefully not seeing this, but I tend to be open for discussions in the class anyways, as in that a student says, I know I need to hand this in on date X, but because of reasons, please give me, a couple of days, or give me a day extra. And I'm not going to say, no, we made a deal, and in life, no. Because if I learned something in life, is that when you mail someone or ask someone, oh, dude, is it okay if I send it in a couple of days later? 99 out of 100 times, people say, oh, yeah, fine. Yeah. So it's really, and I'm an English teacher, so that helps as well. I study literature, I watch movies, I analyze music, we dive into all kinds of things. So I
think you remember telling me you showed your class an interview that Five Will Die did back in 2008.
You're not serious.
Oh yeah, of course. No, everyone needs to. Everyone needs to have a bit of Barry in their life.
This man has done so much for the Cork scene, Howard. We have to give him the freedom of the city.
Check it out on YouTube. It's a Five Will Die interview in Limerick.
It was horrendous. But the thing was that back then, I think I had just returned from either the shows that we played together in the Netherlands.
It was after the Netherlands show, yeah. It wasn't long after that, actually. Yeah.
No, but that we were. Oh, okay. Then it could be that we got back from the last tour of the second tour. But that I was back, and then we talked about varieties of English, like different pronunciations and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, Irish, oh, and especially Cork English. How does that sound, sir? Well. And then you got Barry, and you're like, okay, This is the most extreme variety.
Is that Barry Derland?
Barry Derland, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was in his prime.
Oh, man.
We've been
Before he
drinking
turned
all
vegan.
morning. Before he turned vegan, yeah. I think that's mentioned in the interview as well. They actually had a showing of that. It was part of a series. I forget the name of the company, but they did a series of different bands who were traveling through Limerick at the time. And they had a viewing, a show in Dolan's, I think it was. And I think there was like 12 minutes of outtakes of just Barry just saying the most inappropriate things to the wrong people and just. Oh, it was
After that second tour, Joost had to fly back early because of.
That's right. Yeah, I remember bringing it to the train station.
And we went to a show with I Burn, of course. But also, oh no, that's the name. It was an amazing band. Still is, I think.
Oh, Elankus.
Elankus, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was amazing.
Oh fuck, they were top of the heap back then. They were so good.
Fuck's sake. Good. I started to talk to Barry like properly. So for an hour, I could sit and hear him spin the yarns and show him. He showed me his tattoos and his you know, at that time, this is something I will tell my kids at a certain age. And I will.
A local legend. To put it mildly.
Goody's back.
Yeah. How did you get involved in Roadburn, Johan?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good question anyways, but I do think that one of the reasons is that because of what I said, that DB is that we organized the shows there, that loads of the bands that toured Roadburn around that time, we would mail them as well as Walter asking, hey, we want to do a show as well with them. Is that allowed? Or can't we? And we had great contact with Walter anyways then. And then the first time we played with Terzij de Horde was round about the Self release. And then we hang out. We hung out. That was really it. And then the year after, he asked me to join him, and because there's a couple of guys booking that, of course, a couple of people, I should say, sorry, because Becky's part of that as well, of course. A couple of people booking that, and he asked me, okay, do you have a couple of bands that I should check out as well? Pardon me. And then that was what I did since then. Every now and then I would send him a couple of bands or something. I was like, this is something that you should check. And like the thing is, of course, for him, he's got 8 million friends who will all send him 5 million YouTube links every day. So it's. I was lucky that a couple of the things that I could send him, he wanted to book, and he loved that. And then for Maastom, so what was the big thing a year ago now? That was really that I was asked, okay, so we've done something. We've done these showcases now for the Icelandic scene, but we think that the Dutch scene is big enough for this now as well. So would you like to do a commission piece as well? And I was like. The thing is, random at the time, I was thinking, okay, I should do less because I'm so busy. I should probably dial it down a bit. But what I said was yes, and that was that. So I had a list of 28 people that I wanted to play with, and then I was told I shouldn't. But then I did, and no, I did. But I'm still very honored that they asked me, and that I was allowed to do that because I'm a horrible planner. It's fucking ridiculous. So I
would say on the other side of it, the amount of bands that you listen to, and I'd say I don't know how you find the time to do that, but it's incredible.
That's also because I'm a teacher, really, and we've all been into music since we were, we laugh, of course.
I can't keep up with it now, being truthful.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. I think you can, though, Johan. I think you will honorably do your best through thick and thin. And that's the difference, you see. I just go, no, I can't. It's just not possible.
I spend an hour and 45 minutes, well, in total, approximately 3 hours a day, 3.5 hours a day in public transportation.
There you go. That helps.
To listen as well, yeah, but that's it. So I've got a couple of friends whom I would trust with my life, but specifically with the music choices. Also, because oftentimes they send me something and then go, but you shouldn't listen to this because you think it's crap. And then I listen to it for 5 seconds and go, yeah, crap. And there's a couple of blog spots that I follow still. And then Bandcamp nowadays is a big thing as well. I would argue that you've got these people you can follow, friends you can follow, and if you say, hey, he's buying it, she's buying it, she's buying it, they're buying it.
Yeah.
Okay, I will listen to it then, and who knows what will happen. It is difficult, but I'm lucky that I've been around for a long time, or at least I've been around for a long time, and I've organized loads of shows so that you've got a network of people who are either playing in awesome bands or booking awesome bands.
And you can trust them.
When you see that they're enthusiastic about something.
It's mad. It's you have these kind of streams where, like, I suppose, different points of contact. So, for example, I'll see what Johan is tweeting about in terms of a band, and I'm straight in there to see what's going on. And the funniest thing happened, like when Monolith was being booked, we were looking at bands who had been on the Roadburn bill on the lower stages just to see was there anyone we could nip and take over. And Con sent me a message, I think it was the following day or something, with a link to Black Decades. Which is a band that Johan sings in. And it just straight away it was like, yeah, he gave him the story. He's like, Terzij de Horde, get them over, for fuck's sake, come on, let's do it. And it's amazing how these things come full circle. You're kind of going through different portals to get good music, and at some point everybody meets up in the middle. But yeah, we were looking to cherry pick some of the Roadburn lower stages just to see who was anyone worth taking over. And Black Decades straight away was Con's first choice, and it's probably through myself that I convinced him to put Terzij de Horde instead. So hopefully Black Decades next time. Apologies to Black
Decades. Will be there. Yeah. We'll get our van and we'll drive.
But I have never been to Roadburn, so both of you sell it to me. And there's plenty that haven't been here, so sell it to me. Why is it so special?
It's like DMT, Richie. You can't really sell it. You got to try it.
So we were talking about the Key in Cork, right?
Yeah.
And do you remember? There must have been shows where it was packed, and everyone was at just drunk enough or stoned enough to be completely awesome, and the band would be playing. Just go, if I die now, I am okay with this.
Yes.
And it's a weekend full of those moments.
Yeah, but that's it, really. Like,
yeah.
Okay. And it's
just full of it. You're just sitting there, and next thing, you hear the thing, and you go look at it, and you're like, fuck me. I'd never heard of The Body. To my shame, I had never come across The Body before, and walked in Roadburn, and my face was just blown to the back of the room. And ever since, it's just one of my top 3 bands at the moment,
Okay, so you're doing a shit job trying to sell it so far, right?
Okay, no.
What is the structure? Is it indoor, outdoor, venues? Yes. What is it? And then you can talk about your bands then.
No. This is for me, this is the best. This is
and
the
what
best
about accommodation?
Experience. I played there with Black Decades because and what happens, and I'm not proud of that, but what happens after I've played Roadburn, I start to drink because you're full of emotions and elations, and you don't have to do anything anymore. So and what I tend to do, and people let me pass by, is that I walk onto stage at times. Just I go on around the back and go, hey, and people go, hey, and you see it all around. Like I'm not the only one who could do that. And who was it? It was Cult of Luna was playing with Julie Mariner. And that's that a Sickness record, like it is amazing. And I was sitting with a can on stage, just going, oh man, this is the best thing ever. And I felt a hand on my shoulder, and I was like, oh yeah, fair play, yeah. I mean, yeah. And someone whispered in my ear, your knees, because I was wearing shorts, your knees are so white that the lights are reflecting off of them. Could you go back a bit? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. The can, no one more worried. And this is Roadburn. This is fucking Roadburn.
Oh, it's amazing, man. I remember going to the bar, and you get these tokens, and you have to give the tokens at the bar, and the tokens are deceiving because they cost €4, but they look like a €2. So you end up spending a lot of money. But I went to the bar, and the barman was just like, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? Like, because there's an off license across the road. You can get 20 beers for a tenner. don't be wasting your money on these tokens. Just go get your beers, put them into the glass and walk in. No one's going to say a word. No. It's just like, Jesus. Really? Yeah. It's impossible to articulate. It really is. It's just,
but they're all indoor venues, yeah?
Yeah, you tend to have like four indoor, 5 indoor venues.
In the city. It's in the city.
Yeah, very close proximity. It'd be a bit where Cypress Avenue is if you cordon up all that street there. Oh, and you had 5 or 6 venues and just things going on. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's I mean, like 3 of them are big and the other 3 are and smallish. But it's like I've seen bands play for 50 people and it was packed and it was the best show ever, and I've seen bands play for 3,000 people and it was okay.
Yeah.
But what happens every single time is that you just fucking follow people. What you said just now, that you've never seen the money. I've had Oranzi Pazuzu, because we booked them as well in Utrecht, but that was after I'd seen them at that. And I was like, psychedelic, black metal, and I don't like psychedelic, fuck it. And then a couple of friends of mine were like, God, just fucking follow me. Like, oh, fine. And then I stood there and it's like, but this is really, really, really good. And then to like 20 minutes later, you're dancing there going, this is now my favorite band. And every single person you'll speak to there has this kind of experience that you see a band which you would never ever in your life would have chosen to see.
Yeah.
But there's 6 bands playing now. Yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like kind of I'm not really a traditional heavy metal follower as such, like, because I like my hardcore. I like loads of shit anyway. But like, I enjoy more so going to bands that I don't know fuck all about, but it's usually outdoor festivals that we go to. We'd never, Monolith probably be the best version of that, but kind of, so if you get a weekend ticket for Roadburn, because I still have to get my head around it, right? You have to get a weekend ticket for, you free access to all those bands in those venues, but some of those venues you're queuing. Is there a queuing system, or can you just stroll in? And
that is the one downside. The smaller venues do tend to pack out pretty quick. So if you want to get in and see those guys, you gotta make a plan really to get there before the queue starts. But it's so worth going inside. It happened actually the last time I was there when we went to see Terzij de Horde. And we sat outside a little bit too long. And by the time we went inside, we were really squeezed up at the back,
Yeah.
But it's part of it. It really is.
And everyone is in that, but the line keeps on moving.
It keeps moving, yeah. It's not a frustrating line at all. And you meet so many people in that line and fuck it.
Oh, yeah, well, that's so cool. And when you get into the venue then, do you get your beers in there, or are you bringing your beers into the venue? All this stuff now.
Either or, it's just the street. You can bring your beer wherever the fuck you want.
Okay.
Fantastic. Bring cans, not bottles. That's what I would argue.
No glass.
Yeah, obviously,
No, but as I would say just now, and that's literally anyone, because I remember getting a beer again after I've played. You remember getting a beer at a bar somewhere and just walking off with that glass full of beer and walking into the main venue where I was told, if you have glass, you will be shot on sight. And I just went, hey, and there was a guy standing there going, hey. It's overall, but I would argue that's any metal festival anywhere. People are good, like people are understanding, are welcoming, and there's a general sense of, we're all in this together. I've been there now, I don't know, I've been there 10, 12 times now, say, and there's never been, as far as I can tell, there's never been a fight, as in that perhaps there's been a bit of a scuffle at 6 o'clock in the morning when the bars close down, stuff like that. But that had nothing to do with Roadburn per se, but even then, you get people going, hey guys, come on, man, come on.
Yeah.
So it's best people in the
strange experience. It really is. It's so cool, but it is strange. It's a hard one to put a finger on it, but it's just I guess the Siege of Limerick, Richie, yourself, you'd be bait out from hugging people, walking around the place. And it's a bit like that, except with an accent.
Fair enough.
Some of my best Roadburn memories are standing outside of the main venue, to people.
For sure, yeah, same. I mean,
you go, okay, what time are they? Oh, okay, another beer? Yeah, another beer. You know?
Is there a certain kind of band that won't get in there? Like we'll say, for example, a thrash metal band won't get in there. What is kind of the flavour of Roadburn?
They've changed more and more the past couple of years, I'd say, which is also why we could play, because Blackpool wasn't going to play there years ago. A thrash metal band could play. What's most important for Walter, speaking on behalf of Walter, perhaps shouldn't, but the thing is that he must love it. That's the thing that's most important. If he loves the music, you'll play there.
Okay.
And then, as I said, there are other bookers there who will also contribute, of course, and so. But if Walter loves you, you play. And so you have. I mean, looking at Dave Eugene Atwood's, the 16 horsepower. You have a guy with a banjo there playing songs about his Orthodox Christian beliefs. But it's dark, and we love it, so fine.
Yeah.
Have Diamanda Galas as well.
Diamanda Galas, I was at that show. Yeah. Jesus Christ, it was just
fuck's sake. Yeah, no, it's horrible.
Like
in the best way possible.
Is fucking unreal.
But that's it, and that's really because Roadburn now gives that kind of approach. Like, you will get people if you play Roadburn. People will watch you. Full stop. There's no denying that, and that also means that everyone wants to play there. And rightfully so. I mean, I've been lucky to play there a couple of times now.
Did Triptychon play there? No.
Yeah. They played. They had the first.
The orchestra, was it? No.
They played with the orchestra. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what got my attention straight away. I mean, fuck me, imagine seeing that. Imagine seeing that. I have opinions. You can express them there, Johan. There's no problem. No one will judge you on this show.
No. But the thing is that, what I love
I don't think Tom G's got a great reputation in Cork anyway. I think that there's...
he signed my book, Howard, and that's
it was
all
the last,
that matters.
The last gig in the Crushkeen was Triptychon, I think, actually. Andy, or the Five Alive singer, picked him up from the airport, and he's not exactly a fan either, I'd put it like that.
Yeah.
I know. Andy. But that's the thing that he got having Tom G. Warrior play with one of the most prominent Dutch classical orchestras.
Correct.
As hey, we should do this, and then everyone goes, yeah. That's what Roadburn does as well. A couple of years back, you had. Now I lost the names. You had Converge playing together with Chelsea Wolfe and guys from.
The Blood Moon thing. That was amazing. The guys from Neurosis jumped in for a couple of songs.
Yeah, true. Yeah. No, but
it was just one of the most intense performances I've seen when Stephen Till came up and did that Bloom vocal. Yeah, you could feel the primitive bone rattling inside your chest. Like it's like Jesus.
But that's
Christ.
it. Like Converge. I used to be in Santor, but like that was a band that I loved to bits. And then Jane Doe, which isn't as good as the record Jane Doe for me at least. And I was a bit disappointed. But then I saw that show and I was like, this is what Roadburn does. They elevate musicians in that sense as well. Yeah. They make musicians go the extra mile. And that's what happened with Master and with that thing we did. That was the same. Like we did something we would have never ever done. And only because Walter and Brent and Becky and everyone there said, hey, do you want to? And everyone was like,
yeah.
And there we go. And then suddenly you've got like 70 minutes of Dutch black metal, which is new and awesome.
I'm glad you brought that up. New songs. What's happening?
Yes. Well, mastering is on its way.
Okay.
We've got a new record coming now. Still, I think we would still release it under the title In One of These, I Am Your Enemy. And it's where with self, we really look at the self, as in what is the self and how does that work? We now move one step beyond and go into, okay, but in which structures is this self then caught? And then we have songs about, essentially about teaching as well, about scenario building, about the creation of worlds. How do you create a world in which a student wants to participate and stuff like that? So it has a book list and everything, but it's no, I think I can say that now. Because last year was fucking horrible for most of us in loads of ways, and in the run up to Milestone and run up to playing Roadburn, I was thinking about quitting the band, and when I was talking about that, suddenly our drummer said the same. Like, I'm thinking about quitting the band. And I was happy about that because that meant that, we could all discuss this and then move on. And then we sat together and we talked about feelings for the first time in fucking 12 years of being in a band.
That's metal band at that.
Oh, yeah, no, it was ridiculous. It was stupid. But also because of the situation we were in, and literally also the situation I was in, because I was avoiding contact and stuff like that. And ever since, we've been writing new songs, and there's no holds barred. So we've got the songs now for the new record, and we've got 2 other songs which are in development, and we've got one song which actually finished, which we perhaps should have recorded for the full length, but we'll see where that goes. So suddenly things are happening again, and it's so good. But it's it took a while.
Have you got a certain producer in mind?
We recorded and mixed pretty much everything ourselves, besides the drums who were done by Wessel in Catacomba. He's the drummer for 8 million other Dutch metal bands. He's the drummer for Luster as well. I don't know if you know Luster. If you don't know, you should listen to them, because they're
the guys with the masks.
Yeah. And
Fucking
Jack Shirley is doing the mastering now.
Sorry, who?
That was also that.
Who?
Oh, sorry, Jack Shirley. He's used to be the guitar player in Comadre, and he's done loads of things for Deaf Heaven and for Bustinage, and for, we were looking for someone who could understand why we would play a screamo breakdown in a blast beat piece and stuff like that. and it was, we had a list. We actually just we mailed with Steve Albini going, so would you do this? And he was like, yeah, if you pay me. And it's like, I don't know if that's the approach.
He did the exact same thing for the Magnapina. Sent Steve Albini a message, and the exact same thing. Yeah, if you fucking pay me. It wasn't that expensive, actually.
No, but we had the same. It's doable.
It's doable, but it's 4 days with a lunatic, Yeah,
but that's it. And then we were like, okay, but who would you want to sound like? And so we had a couple of records, and then we suddenly found out, Jack Shirley. So, Jack Shirley, emailing Jack Shirley, giving him our demos, and he was like, yeah, I would love to do this. Okay, fine, good.
And that's great news then. So
I was supposed to share this, but now you know.
So 2021.
Yeah,
realistically.
we were really working towards the end of 2020, but then the both caught up on us, and so it's start 2021. Yeah. Everything should be done at November, and then sent to the labels, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Happy with that, Howard?
I can't wait. Jesus.
Yeah.
Good things come to those who wait and all that. I can't wait till the beginning of the next year. And the faster it fucking comes, the better. For many reasons, including the Terzij de Horde new album.
One of the main reasons I love 2021 is...
We can do this. It's the motivating factor. We're going to get through this winter of fucking discontent and listen to fucking Terzij de Horde when we're done.
I just want to sit there on your couch. I want to sit there on your couch again with your collection of whiskeys and make fun of Joost while he's trying to eat.
It's the simple things in life, lads. We don't ask too much. Sure, we don't. We don't ask too much. For fuck's sake, just give us back live gigs and get some decent music out.
It will happen. I'm optimistic. Man. I really am. Look, we're going to get through it all. It's just a fucking weird time in history. And
have you had like socially distant shows in Ireland?
We've had we've done a few stream shows and things, and we're doing another one soon enough, I think, actually, in Youghal, but it's with no audience, so it really is just streaming. The pubs are still closed here, so you've got a few restaurant bars open, but in terms of live music and being attended, it's really, really far off, and it's a real pity because the industry was on its knees anyway. And we just don't know what we're looking at in 2021. Are we going to have venues accepting bands anymore? Is the competition for those gigs going to be too great for a lot of bands to keep going? You know, nobody's going to have money to give anybody.
It's incredibly frustrating considering Ireland and the metal scene at the moment is the best it's ever been.
And that's the shame in it, because it really is on an upward trajectory. And, you know, we had plans for Monolith this year. We had the Menra over for a show last week, which, you know, we couldn't go ahead with. And, yeah, it's tough to deal with. But look, health is a priority. We know that.
It's clear.
We're on board with it as well, as much as we hate it, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
I would hate to see the likes of Fred Zeppelins and things like that go on there. I mean, they've been such a mainstay. They've been such a mainstay for so long, and any bar that hasn't been open for 6 months, how the fuck do you come back from it? It's very hard to see. So I don't know how that's going to look next year. I really hope that we have, you know, these venues to see the likes of God Alone and, you know, Red Sun Alert come true, and all these bands that are bubbling beneath the surface at the moment.
Yeah,
I really just feel that we're on the verge of the likes of God Alone just breaking through a little barrier and going up the next level.
And you play at Cypress Avenue, that new venue in Cork. Like, how good is that?
But that's the thing, that we played a similar venue a couple of weeks ago actually, where there was a maximum of 55 people who could socially distance, you know, sit there, and it was weird. But it was so fucking good to play and the thing is that, I mean, you know, the people there as well, everyone was kind of going,
checking themselves.
Yeah, but it was weird, but I would hope at least that these kinds of venues where you could have, I don't know, 20, 30 people sitting there going.
Did you notice for yourself, Johan, because just knowing from the gigs I've seen you play, I mean, you really are an in-your-face audience band. I mean, you're down there in people's faces, around people, surrounding them.
Look who's talking.
But it brings an intensity to your show, particularly with Used. It's just his delivery and the way that he presents himself and goes about things. That must have been really difficult to translate into a big venue with 55 people. How did you get that intensity to, you know, push that thing over the edge?
We decided to play an all new song set. So literally we played the new record and the new song that I was talking about that we should have recorded but didn't. So that brought another extra layer of intensity to it, and essentially it was difficult, and especially for Houston, because you saw him like pacing. I just want to grab someone and scream in their faces, but I'm not allowed. And it was fun because a couple of people literally walked up to us afterwards and said something along the lines of, I just wasn't sure whether or not he would jump, and it was so scary. Like, good. But also a couple of people, like, he looked like a caged animal. I was feeling sad for him, and it's like, yeah. That was literally.
He deserves it.
Finally, someone's caging him. No, but it's a couple of like 2 months back. We were interviewed. I was interviewed for a Nevermind the Hype, an amazing site, but about local metal bands and local bands, anyways. And the reporter asked me, like, do you see yourself playing one of these shows? I was like, no, we are an in-your-face band. You know, we need this. And I think 2 days after, Brent emailed me like, hey, would you like to play the show? I was like, yes. Yes. No, we are playing now. I have standards, but I also really, 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 really want to play. So yeah.
Needs must.
I mean, there's a couple of shows coming up in the next couple of months now. In the Netherlands, at least, we are now more and more, because again, DBs are combining, like you can have 25 people or 30 people sitting there, but they're also live streaming it, and then they sell a €1-2 ticket, so you can stream shows as well. And I think that really, I mean, it's at least it's something, you know, trying to make do. I'm so happy about that.
Look, Howard, as a frontman, you're going to be falling into the same thing. I mean, you're going to have to be really conscious of it as well, because it is. It's temptation for you.
It's my
just
first
to join exactly. Of course it is, and
it's the first thought, you know, and that's something I don't know how to
control
you just
it.
deal with it as it comes in. You just see what happens like that. I can foresee a lot of pacing around and things like this. But having said that, when we did the Magnapina stream up in Dolan's, there certainly was a different energy, a different layer of intensity, I guess, that you can't account for. I suppose you're more conscious of it when there's not a crowd there because it's
the trade-off is being grateful to play. That's the trade-off.
It is, and that passion comes out through that, I think, more than anything else. But I'm really looking forward to fucking playing a gig in Fred's again in front of 40 people, 50 people in that small room, and just, going insane.
It's
and crucially being armed with new material as well. That
this is it,
and that's the whole thing.
That's it.
For,
and then
for the fans.
Just back from practice, actually, Richie, before we started the podcast, and that's what we were at. That's why my voice is a little husky, but we're really, really closing in on that last few minutes of music, and it's a shame that we got locked down when we did, but it's changed what we would have released a great deal, I think.
Wow, okay,
and
that's interesting.
It's exciting. The stuff that we're coming up with is pretty exciting. I cannot wait to get it out. So that's sustaining me at the moment. Is that kind of satisfaction.
You released the Partholon record is now on vinyl as well.
Yeah. So it's recycled granulate. So every disc is a different color kind of thing. 300 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So Paranoid Beast, they're just the local crowd here.
Seriously?
Con and Mark.
Yeah.
So they're entering the label business.
Gotta do something.
So let's see how this goes.
Yeah. They're great guys. I was talking to Mark during the week about it.
But I will leave that straight away.
Yeah, it's really cool. I still can't decide what colour, Johan. That's my biggest problem.
Same.
So lads, listen, thank you so much, Johan. Absolute dude. Brilliant. Thank you for coming on the show at last, man.
I enjoyed myself immensely, man.
And for fucking sporting the God Alone t-shirt, man, that's 5 stars. What a guest, Howard. What a guest.
The best.
Yeah, thanks, man, for getting him on. I appreciate that, Howard, as well.
Johan, thank you for coming aboard. Fantastic to talk to you, as always.
Thanks, guys. It was amazing.
Let's meet in 2021 for a few beers.
Roadburn 2021.
Roadburn 2021.
There you go, man.
Let's do it.
We're playing an illegal show with Terzij de Horde in the basement then.
I'm all in.
See?
Okay, you've been listening to Richie.
Basement Tour 2021.
Yeah.
Fun.
You've been listening to Richie, Johan, and Howard. Thanks, everybody.